I watched my sister Vanessa stand in Grandma Eleanor's dining room like a prosecutor making closing arguments. Around the Thanksgiving table sat 22 family members. Our parents, Grandma's siblings, various cousins, all gathered for what Vanessa had positioned as both a holiday dinner and an estate clarification meeting. Grandma Eleanor had passed away exactly 6 weeks ago. The funeral had been beautiful. But now came the moment Vanessa had clearly been orchestrating. Her public announcement that I would inherit nothing. "I want everyone to understand the situation clearly," Vanessa began, her voice carrying that blend of concern and calculation she'd perfected over 39 years. "Nicole has been making claims about Grandma's estate, suggesting she has rights to property, to assets, to inheritance. So I did what any responsible family member would do. I hired Thomas Blackwell, the best estate attorney in Boston, to investigate Nicole's claims and prove, legally and definitively, that she has no rights to anything." She gestured dramatically toward the dining room entrance. "Thomas is arriving any moment with his complete report. When he gets here, everyone will see the truth. Nicole abandoned this family years ago, and she gets nothing from Grandma's estate. Nothing." My mother, Patricia, smiled with obvious pride. My father nodded approvingly. My Aunt Sarah looked at me with pity mixed with satisfaction. Several cousins whispered to each other, clearly anticipating my public humiliation. I sat quietly at the far end of the table, hands folded around my wine glass, saying absolutely nothing. Because I'd been waiting 6 weeks for exactly this moment. The moment Vanessa's overconfidence would destroy her completely. The doorbell rang. Vanessa practically sprinted to answer it, returning with a distinguished-looking man in his 60s carrying a leather briefcase. Thomas Blackwell, estate attorney, looking significantly less confident than Vanessa clearly expected. "Thomas," Vanessa announced triumphantly. "Tell everyone what you found. Tell them Nicole has no legal claim to anything." Thomas set his briefcase down slowly, deliberately. He looked around the room with the expression of a man about to detonate a bomb. "I've completed my investigation of the Eleanor Winters estate," he began carefully. "And Ms. Vanessa Winters is correct that I found definitive proof regarding Nicole Winters's legal rights." He paused. "However, the findings are not what Ms. Vanessa expected." He pulled out a thick folder. "Nicole Winters owns the entire estate. All 9 rental properties, the primary residence, the commercial building in downtown Boston. Total value approximately $4.7 million. She has owned them legally and completely since August 2019 via irrevocable trust transfer. Eleanor retained a life estate, so she continued living in the main house and managing properties until her death. But legal ownership has been Nicole's for over 4 years." The silence was absolute. Then Thomas continued, and I watched Vanessa's triumphant expression crumble. "Additionally, during my title search and financial review, I discovered significant irregularities in the rental income reports from the past 5 years. Approximately $380,000 in rent payments are unaccounted for. The properties should have generated $756,000 in rental income from 2019 to 2024. Only $376,000 was reported and deposited. The missing $380,000 appears to have been systematically embezzled." He looked directly at my Aunt Sarah and Uncle John. "The embezzlement trail leads to accounts controlled by Sarah and John Mitchell, who've been managing these properties since 2019. I've documented everything: bank transfers, falsified expense reports, phantom maintenance costs. This is prosecutable fraud." My Aunt Sarah's face went white. Uncle John stood up so fast his chair fell backward. "We need to leave," he said, his voice panicked. "Sit down," Thomas said with unexpected authority. "I've already filed a report with law enforcement. You're not going anywhere that won't make this worse for you." Aunt Sarah started screaming, not words, just raw panic and fear. Aunt Vanessa just stood there, her mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air, as the estate attorney she'd hired to prove I had no rights instead revealed that I owned everything and her aunt and uncle had been stealing from me for 5 years. Let me take you back to where this story really begins. Because this isn't about inheritance or real estate. It's about a grandmother who saw through family politics to real character, and a granddaughter who reminded her that love doesn't require proximity. Growing up in the Winters family meant understanding your assigned role and performing it flawlessly. Vanessa was the perfect granddaughter. Stayed in Massachusetts after college, became a corporate attorney, married appropriately, produced grandchildren on schedule, lived 20 minutes from Grandma Eleanor, attended every family dinner, volunteered to handle family matters. I was her opposite in every way that mattered to them. I went to Berkeley for social work, stayed in Oakland for my career, worked with homeless youth making $52,000 a year, remained unmarried by choice, came out as bisexual at 26. I visited Boston twice a year instead of weekly. In the family's narrative, I was the rebellious granddaughter who'd abandoned them for California liberalism. Nicole's always been selfish, my mother would tell her friends. Some people just don't value family the way they should. The truth was different. I'd moved to California to do work that mattered, helping homeless LGBTQ+ youth find housing, support, and hope. I'd chosen purpose over proximity, impact over approval, authenticity over performance. But in my family's eyes, especially Vanessa's, I was the disappointment who'd abandoned them. Especially Grandma Eleanor. What they didn't know was that Grandma and I video called every single Sunday morning. 3 to 4 hours without fail. We'd have coffee together across time zones. She'd tell me about her properties, her tenants, her concerns about family. I'd tell her about my clients, my struggles, my victories. "They think you abandoned me," Grandma said during one of our calls in early 2019. "Vanessa tells everyone you rarely call, barely visit, don't care about family. But you're the only one who actually talks to me about real things. Vanessa visits you 3 times a week." "Vanessa performs visits," she corrected. 20 minutes each time. She asks if I need anything, updates me on her children's activities, then leaves. "You're the only one who actually engages with me as a person, who asks about my thoughts, my memories, my life beyond being grandmother." She paused and I heard something heavy in her voice. "And there's something else. Something I've been documenting for 2 years. Something I need to tell you about Sarah and John." Grandma Eleanor had built her real estate portfolio over 50 years. 9 rental properties across Greater Boston, her own house in Cambridge, and a small commercial building downtown. Combined value, approximately $4.7 million. They generated about $12,600 monthly in rental income. In 2017, at 83 years old, Grandma had asked her daughter Sarah and son-in-law John to help manage the properties. They were local, John had construction experience, it made sense. She'd pay them $2,000 monthly for coordination and maintenance. By early 2019, Grandma noticed something wrong. "The numbers don't add up," she told me during our Sunday call in March 2019. "These properties should generate $12,600 monthly. Sarah reports $6,300. When I ask about the difference, they talk about extensive maintenance and unexpected repairs. But Nicole, I've owned these properties for decades. I know what they should generate. Something's wrong. Have you checked the actual bank statements? Sarah handles all the deposits now. She convinced me to streamline everything. Tenants pay her, she deposits into my account after deducting expenses and their management fee. But the amounts are about half what they should be." She paused. "I think they're stealing from me. I think they've been stealing for 2 years." My stomach dropped. "That's serious, Grandma." "I know. That's why I can't confront them without proof. If I'm wrong, I damage family relationships. If I'm right and they deny it, they'll hide evidence better." She took a breath. "I need to protect these properties. I need to make sure that when I'm gone, they go to someone I trust. Someone who won't liquidate them, someone who won't continue stealing, someone who shares my values." 6 weeks later, in April 2019, Grandma asked me to fly to Boston. I arrived in Boston on August 15, 2019, telling my family I was visiting for a cousin's wedding. Instead, Grandma and I went straight to her attorney's office, a man named Robert Chin who'd handled her affairs for 30 years. "Your grandmother wants to transfer her entire real estate portfolio to you through an irrevocable trust," Robert explained. "All 9 rental properties, her primary residence, and the commercial building. You'll become the legal owner immediately. She'll retain a life estate so she continues living in her house and managing properties until she passes. But legal ownership transfers to you today." I stared at Grandma. "Why? Vanessa's the successful attorney. She's local. She's been positioning herself as your successor for years." Grandma pulled out a folder. Because Vanessa would sell everything within 6 months of my death. She's told me her plans: liquidate unproductive assets, maximize returns, invest in more lucrative opportunities. She sees these properties as dollar signs, not as homes for 37 working families. She pulled out another folder. And because Sarah and John have been embezzling from these properties for 2 years. I don't have absolute proof yet, but the discrepancies are too large to be anything else. I need to protect these properties from them too. What about Mom and Dad? They'll support Vanessa. Which is why we're not telling them. Or anyone. Grandma leaned forward. We transfer everything to you today. I retain my life estate and continue managing properties. Sarah and John will keep helping, which means they'll keep stealing and we'll document it. When I'm gone, you'll have legal ownership established years before my death and evidence of their fraud. Robert interjected. We're also documenting Eleanor's complete cognitive capacity. Neurological evaluation completed yesterday. Perfect function. This prevents future claims that the transfer was made while she lacked capacity. Grandma squeezed my hand. Nicole, you're the only one who never asked me for anything. You're the only one doing work that actually matters. Helping homeless kids find hope and housing. You're the only one who calls me every week because you want to, not because you feel obligated. You share my values. That's why you're inheriting everything. This is going to destroy family relationships. It's going to reveal family character, she corrected. When the truth comes out, watch how they react. Watch who demands what they think they're owed versus who asks what actually happened. Character shows up in crisis, Nicole. This transfer will create the crisis that reveals everyone's true nature. We signed everything on August 15, 2019. 10 properties transferred to me through irrevocable trust. Grandma retained her life estate. County records across 3 jurisdictions were updated. Everything was legal and documented. Grandma also made a video that day. My name is Eleanor Winters. Today is August 15, 2019. I'm transferring my entire real estate portfolio to my granddaughter Nicole Winters. I'm doing this of my own free will with complete mental capacity. I'm choosing Nicole because she's the only one who built a real relationship with me rather than positioning for inheritance. She calls every Sunday for hours. She asks about my life, my thoughts, my memories. She's chosen meaningful work over lucrative work. She shares my values about housing being a human right, not just a profit center. Vanessa will claim she deserves this because she visited more often. But proximity isn't relationship. 20-minute visits 3 times a week don't equal 3-hour conversations every Sunday. Nicole knows me. Vanessa knows the grandmother she thinks I should be. I also suspect Sarah and John are stealing from these properties. I'm documenting it. Nicole will have evidence to recover what was stolen or prosecute if necessary. If you're watching this, I'm gone and the truth is coming out. Honor my choice. Nicole earned this through character, not through performance. And we told no one. From August 2019 to October 2024, I was secretly the owner of a $4.7 million real estate portfolio. Grandma continued managing properties. I continued working in Oakland with homeless youth. I continued being labeled the granddaughter who'd abandoned the family. But I was learning. Every Sunday, Grandma taught me everything. Property management, tenant relations, maintenance coordination, Massachusetts rental law, long-term financial planning. And we documented Sarah and John's theft. I hired a forensic accountant named Lisa Martinez in October 2019. She worked quietly, obtaining records through legal channels, interviewing tenants, documenting the embezzlement. The findings were damning. From 2017 to 2024, Sarah and John had systematically stolen approximately $380,000 through multiple methods. Underreported rent. Properties generated $12,600 monthly. They reported $6,300, pocketing the $6,300 difference. Over 7 years, $529,200, but $149,200 was stolen before I owned the properties, so the theft from me was $380,000. Falsified maintenance. They claimed $32,000 for roof repairs that never happened. Contractors had no record of the work. Phantom expenses. They created fake invoices from non-existent companies. Security deposit theft. They collected deposits but never reported them. Lisa documented everything. Bank statements showing deposits into Sarah and John's accounts, contractor testimony about invoices for work never performed, tenant statements about unreturned deposits. This is felony embezzlement, Lisa told me in 2020. Multiple counts. They could face serious prison time. Not yet, I said. Grandma wants them to have no defense when the truth comes out. Keep documenting. Meanwhile, Vanessa positioned herself as Grandma's successor. She talked constantly about when I inherit and my plans for the portfolio. She made sure everyone knew she was the devoted granddaughter while I was the absent one. What none of them knew was that every Sunday Grandma and I talked for hours. That I'd owned everything for years. That Sarah and John's theft was being meticulously documented. In September 2024, Grandma was diagnosed with advanced congestive heart failure. Prognosis: months. It's almost time, she told me during one of our last clear conversations. Make sure Robert has everything. The trust documents, the video, Lisa's forensic report. When I'm gone, Vanessa will make her move. She'll try to prove you have no rights. Let her. Let her hire an attorney to investigate. They'll find the trust transfer and Sarah and John's embezzlement. The truth will come out perfectly. Grandma passed peacefully on October 1, 2024. I flew to Boston for the funeral, where Vanessa performed grief beautifully while I stood quietly in the back remembering every Sunday morning for 5 years. After the funeral, Vanessa cornered me. Just so you know, Nicole, you're getting nothing. You abandoned Grandma years ago. I'm handling the estate and you have no legal claim to anything. I understand, I said calmly. Good. I'm glad we're clear. She smiled. In fact, to make absolutely sure there's no confusion, I'm hiring an estate attorney to investigate and prove you have no rights. That way, when you're excluded from everything, you'll know it was done properly and legally. That's very thorough of you, I said. I'm just protecting the family, she said with fake sympathy. Making sure everything's handled correctly. What she didn't know was that she was about to pay an expensive attorney to discover that I owned everything and that her aunt and uncle had been stealing from me for 5 years. I could have told her right then. But Grandma's words echoed. Character shows up in crisis. Let the crisis reveal everyone's true nature. So I said nothing. And I waited. 6 weeks after Grandma's death, Vanessa hosted Thanksgiving at Grandma's house. My house, though she didn't know it yet. She'd invited the entire family and announced it would double as an estate clarification meeting. I flew in from Oakland, staying at a hotel rather than staying with family. I knew what was coming. Thanksgiving dinner was tense. Vanessa kept giving me pitying looks. My mother made comments about some people not appreciating family. My father asked pointed questions about my unstable lifestyle in California. Then after dessert, Vanessa stood and made her announcement. I hired the best estate lawyer to prove you have no legal claim. You're getting nothing. Mom smiled proudly. Several relatives nodded approvingly. They were all witnessing what they thought would be my public humiliation. I just smiled and sipped my wine. Thomas Blackwell arrived exactly on schedule. Vanessa introduced him triumphantly, expecting validation. He said she got the truth. Your sister owns the entire $4.7 million estate via 2019 trust transfer, Thomas announced, pulling out documented proof. The room went silent as comprehension dawned slowly. Then came the second bomb, but I found $380,000 in missing rent payments. He detailed Sarah and John's embezzlement, the underreported rent, the falsified expenses, the phantom costs. He explained that he'd already filed reports with law enforcement because as an officer of the court, he was obligated to report felony fraud. That's when Aunt Sarah started screaming. Pure panic. Uncle John tried to run, literally heading for the door before Thomas blocked him. Running makes it worse, Thomas said firmly. Sit down. Law enforcement is already involved. Your best option now is cooperation and restitution, not flight. My mother found her voice. This is insane. Mom would never cut out Vanessa. Nicole manipulated her. Thomas pulled out Grandma's video recorded 5 years earlier. He played it on his laptop for everyone to see. Grandma's face filled the screen, healthy, sharp, completely lucid, explaining exactly why she chose me. Explaining about the Sunday calls Vanessa didn't know about. Explaining about Sarah and John's suspected theft. explaining everything. When the video ended, my mother was crying. My father looked stunned. Vanessa looked like her entire world was collapsing. "You stole from me," I said to Sarah and John, my voice calm. "For 5 years, you stole $380,000 from properties I owned. Grandma suspected it. That's partly why she transferred everything to me, to protect her assets from your theft." Uncle John's face was red. "We were managing the properties. We deserved more than $2,000 monthly. So you stole $6,300 monthly instead?" I asked. "That's felony embezzlement, Uncle John. Multiple counts. You could each face 5 to 10 years in prison." Aunt Sarah was still screaming but coherent now. "We have bills. We have expenses. We needed the money." "Then you should have negotiated a higher management fee," I said. "Or found other work. You didn't. You chose theft. For 7 years. Thomas interjected. "Nicole, I need to discuss your options regarding Sarah and John. You can pursue full criminal prosecution, which I've reported to authorities, or you can negotiate a restitution agreement that might result in reduced charges." I pulled out a document I'd prepared weeks ago. "I'm willing to offer them one option. Full restitution of $380,000 plus interest, $425,000 total, paid over 10 years at $3,542 monthly. In exchange, I'll request reduced charges. If they refuse or miss 2 payments, the agreement is void and I pursue maximum prosecution." Uncle John grabbed the document with shaking hands. "We can't afford $3,500 monthly. You afforded to steal $6,300 monthly for 5 years, I said. "Sell your vacation house. Downsize. Cut expenses. Figure it out. Or go to prison. Your choice." I turned to Vanessa. "And you hired Thomas to prove I had no rights. Instead, he proved I own everything and uncovered your aunt and uncle's felonies. How much did you pay him?" $25,000, Thomas said quietly. "For a comprehensive estate investigation. $25,000 to discover you have no claim to anything," I said to Vanessa. "You could have just asked me. Or better yet, you could have built a real relationship with Grandma instead of positioning for inheritance while I was actually talking to her every single week." Vanessa found her voice finally. "Those Sunday calls, they were real? You actually talked to Grandma every week?" "For 5 years, I confirmed. 3 to 4 hours every Sunday morning. We talked about everything. Her properties, her life, her concerns about family dynamics, my work with homeless youth, philosophy, politics, memories. Real conversations, Vanessa. Not 20-minute check-ins where you asked if she needed anything and then left." My mother stood up. "If you walk out that door with everything, you're dead to me." "Mom, I've been dead to you since I moved to California and came out as bisexual," I said calmly. "You just performed tolerance while actually rejecting who I am. Grandma was the only one who actually accepted me. That's why she trusted me with her life's work." I looked around at the family, some looking angry, some looking shocked, some starting to understand. "These properties aren't just assets," I said. "They're homes for 37 working families. Grandma kept rents below market for decades because she believed housing is a human right. Vanessa would have sold everything within 6 months and displaced everyone for profit. I won't. I'll continue what Grandma built. Affordable housing, community service, purpose over profit." I gathered my things. "Thomas, thank you for your thorough investigation. Please send me your complete report and your invoice. Vanessa can pay you since she hired you. Sarah, John, you have 72 hours to accept the restitution agreement or face full prosecution. Choose wisely." I walked out to the sound of Aunt Sarah crying, Uncle John calling attorneys, and Vanessa demanding that someone fix this. Sarah and John signed the restitution agreement within 48 hours. They sold their vacation home, downsized their primary residence, and began making payments. They're on month 6 now, all payments on time, probably because the alternative is prison. My parents stopped speaking to me entirely. Vanessa sends occasional emails oscillating between demanding I do the right thing and share the inheritance, and admitting she never actually knew Grandma the way I did. But about 40% of the extended family reached out to me privately. Many admitted they'd been hearing Vanessa's biased narrative for years without questioning it. Watching the Thanksgiving confrontation, Watching Thomas's evidence, Grandma's video, the revelation of Sarah and John's theft, opened their eyes to dynamics they'd missed. My cousin Rachel became an unexpected ally. I've been thinking about those Sunday calls, she told me. I lived 20 minutes from Grandma for 10 years and visited maybe once a month. You lived across the country and talked to her more than I did. That says something about me, not about you. The properties continue thriving. I hired a professional management company in Boston, visit quarterly, and stay deeply involved in maintaining Grandma's vision. Affordable housing for working families, rents below market, community over profit. Kept my job in Oakland. The rental income lets me donate most of my salary to homeless youth programs. I'm doing exactly what Grandma understood, using resources to serve purpose. It's Thanksgiving 2025. I'm not with my parents. I'm hosting my own gathering in Oakland. Chosen family, close friends, several former clients who've become success stories, my cousin Rachel who flew out from Boston. We're having dinner when my phone rings. Unknown Boston number. It's Vanessa. Nicole, her voice breaks. I've been in therapy, working on everything. And I need to say, I'm sorry. You were right. I performed relationship with Grandma while you built real relationship. I positioned for inheritance while you actually cared about her as a person. Thomas's investigation proved I was the fraud, not you. I listen without interrupting. I hired him to prove you had no rights, she continues. Instead he proved you had every right. That you'd owned everything for 5 years. That you'd been building real connection across 3,000 miles while I was performing devotion across 3 miles. I'm sorry, Nicole. Grandma was right to choose you. We talk for 40 minutes. Real conversation, maybe the first real conversation Vanessa and I have ever had. I don't offer to share the inheritance. She still has $800,000 from stocks and bonds Grandma left through her will. But I offer something else. Honest relationship if she wants it. I'd like that, she says. Maybe some relationships can be rebuilt. Maybe some people can learn and grow. The next day, I visit Grandma's grave in Cambridge. Fresh flowers, a quiet moment, a progress report. The properties are thriving, I tell her headstone. 37 families housed. Rent stable. Sarah and John are making restitution payments. Vanessa's in therapy and maybe slowly understanding. Your plan worked perfectly, Grandma. You protected your legacy, revealed everyone's true character, and made sure your life's work continues serving people rather than profit. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for trusting me. The Massachusetts autumn air is crisp and clear. Grandma Eleanor saw something in me my family couldn't. That real relationship is built through consistent, meaningful connection, not physical proximity. That authenticity matters more than performance. That purpose matters more than profit. Vanessa hired an attorney to prove I had no rights. Instead, he proved I had every right, legal, moral, and earned through 5 years of Sunday morning conversations nobody knew about. Grandma knew what she was doing. She let Vanessa's overconfidence create the crisis that would reveal the truth perfectly. And that's the inheritance that actually matters.